Good morning, good afternoon. Quick video for people who've just been made an admin or just discovered they're an admin of a Scale-Up Suite license. So the key to benefiting from this information is to have a Scale-Up account. Once you have that, you can access everything you need to know about the license, and you can also manage the license. So I'm just going to sign in here as one of my alter egos, and if you're not a member already, you can sign up. Just go to scaleup.com, find the sign up button. SSO is available for admins. You may be interested in that. For all customers, they can have SSO, but for me today, I'm on a domain where I don't have SSO set up, so I'm just going to sign in the old way. That brings me into an area called my profile. So anytime you're on any of our scaleup.com sites, you'll be able to access your profile from the little mini version of you, top right hand corner. So it tells me that my name is John Smith, which definitely isn't. And some basic information about my account. Am I currently receiving those nice emails about upcoming training? No, I'm not, but I could opt in there if I wanted to. Admins won't always want to install the software, but I could there if I wanted to install. I can also go to the main resources sites, and I happen to be associated with a user license here, which I could use to apply the software to projects. I'm also connected with an equipment data service. We're part of Mettler Toledo, so my Mettler Toledo equipment data service is available there to me. All of this through my scaleup.com account. And then right at the bottom of the profile, and this is where I expect you'll be looking, anything that I can admin is listed. So I am, as Joe Smith, I'm the admin for a global Dynochem license, and I'm also an admin for my equipment data service. So I want to show you in this quick movie how to really get the most out of managing either a license or an equipment data service. So I'm going to click on Manage. That's what you should do too if you're following along on a license that you manage. That takes you into our cloud licensing environment where you can see the license you manage. Some nice graphs here on the Users tab showing me how many users are allowed at any given time. So-called concurrent users, there's 5 of them in this particular case. Licenses I'm entitled to, and also here I've got the number of users. So there was a couple of users on this one for a little while, and then they were all removed by an admin, I assume. So I can add users here by adding their email addresses if I wish, but I think what I'm going to take you to first is reports. So this is really where you find out how much usage the license has had. This is just a dummy test license, so it hasn't had a lot of usage, but it'll show you how many concurrent user licenses we have. It's 5, and then it'll show you recent activity where some of my dummy test users have actually used this license. For a lot of customers, there will be some red dots up here, and there'll be lots of activity, and the red dots represent lockouts. That's really when you need to consider purchasing additional licenses. And then there'll be some summary stats about the license underneath the reports graph, and one key number here is the percentage failure. It's currently 0 for this test license. That means that anytime anybody's needed to get a license, they've been able to. But when that creeps up to more than a couple of percent, then you really want to be looking at adding some further licenses. And then, because this one's only been set up recently, the reporting isn't very extensive, but in principle, for most licenses, you'll get a monthly report here of maximum usage, average usage, how many active users, and so on. Really nice information. So probably the most trafficked page when you're the admin of a license is the reports page. Just to the left of that, you've got the usage page. That just shows you kind of recent activity, and you'll get email addresses of people who have registered that activity, and how long their session was, and that kind of information, whether they used a desktop license, so with the installed software, or whether they did an online session with one of our hosted web apps. You can find that out there. Of course, you can change the date ranges and export to Excel and all of those nice things. Again, this license is very quiet because it's a test license. If anybody's using right now, we could find out, how many sessions are in progress live. There aren't any right now, so there's nothing to see there. So I'm just working to the left here on the license admin page. I'm getting back to users, and this is where, again, I could add users. I could also remove users. Maybe I'll just add a user by email address. So I happen to know there's another user in my company. I could copy their email address from somewhere, but I just know the email address. It's Phil Tank. He's a well-known engineer working at Scale Up Systems, and you can probably guess he likes to fill tanks from time to time. So I have his email address. That's all I need, and I can just type it into a box and say I'd like to add Phil to the license, and Phil can now become a regular user of this particular license. Later, maybe Phil leaves the company. I may want him removed from the license. I can just do that as an admin so that there's no way he can use that license after he's left the business. I can also request that Phil's entire Scale-Up account be deactivated. So these are powerful things I can do as an admin, and we would encourage you to do these things as an admin. I can also associate Phil with a site. So I can say, he's at our Dublin site, for example, and submit that information. And I can also associate Phil with a group, like maybe Phil is in R&D. And this can be useful for just cataloging how much activity occurs in different departments. So I'll probably just add another user there momentarily. It'll be another person from our organization who works closely with crystallization projects, and this person's name is Crystal Purity, and her email address is at scaleup.com. So I can add Crystal as well, and she's added to the license, and I can again set her site, and she is actually at the Dublin site, and I can also set Crystal's group. You can do these with multi-select as well. We'll put her in formulation just for now. So I now have users in formulation and in R&D, and their activity will be logged in those buckets. Right now, neither of these users have any activity, but later when they do, just gone back to the reports tab, we'll see that usage logged will be plotted nicely using how many hours were taken up by a particular site, how many hours were taken up by a particular business unit. And once we have months of data, these will be beautiful multicolored 12-month charts. So once you've got the site and the group in there, all of the stats get broken out according to site and group. It's really, really helpful. Final page I'll talk about is the summary page for a license, and that just tells you a lot of information about the license, how long it lasts, whether it's active or not, how many users are on there, if there's any sessions open. It's a useful page for sure. Usage visibility, we like to default that to sessions only for reasons of user privacy. So we recommend that setting. And just a little bit below that, you'll see there's an area where we can, in fact, add other administrators. So right now, I, as John Smith, am an administrator. But if there was somebody else in my organization that I would like to make an admin of the license, I could do that here. So that's all about license admin. I'm just going to hop back now to my profile and see my data service. So that's another feature of which you can be an admin. And I'm just going to navigate to that data service. It's the Mettler Toledo Equipment Data Service. When I navigate there directly, it shows me my equipment. But as an admin, what I'm more likely to want to do is import data. So as an admin, I can make an Excel spreadsheet in standard Dynochem format, and I can upload that to, or import that to populate the equipment data service. I can also then merge that with the latest scale-up systems equipment definitions, which include all of the Mettler-Toledo reactors, for example. So effectively I can merge these two systems as an admin. And then the other thing I can do here is, if I just actually go straight to my profile page, I can manage the visibility of the data service. So who can see it right now? So I can manage the named users. I can just add email addresses to the named user list if I like. I can also manage which email domains are associated with the data service. So people with these email domains will be able to see the data, and that's extremely useful. I can also just change the overall visibility here. So my choices are full visibility, which we recommend. That means anybody from those email domains can see the equipment information. Visible means people can know the information exists, but they have to contact an admin to be allowed to see the information. No access means nobody can see it except the named listed users. So that's the least helpful for your organization. So that also can be managed easily, directly from your user profile. So two more small items that come up from time to time, and I think are valuable for you to know. So starting again on your account page, your profile page, where you can see your entitlements and also things that you're the admin for. If you visit the licensing page, so the page for managing your Dynochem or Scale-Up Suite license, and go to the summary tab, you'll see a little section called user assignment. And right now on this license, that is set to user opt-in. That means that any users from the domain listed below, scaleup.com, any users with that domain will see this license as being available to them in their profile page, and they can join the license voluntarily. That's a good way of making it easy for people to get on a license, but also making sure they get on the right license. So for example, if you have a site license in Shanghai, you shouldn't join the site license in New York, for example. So it's kind of up to users to join the correct license, and then their admins will of course monitor those licenses and make sure that everybody joins the correct license. There are other options here. One of the other options is to completely hide the license from users, and if you require that option, send us an email to support@scaleup.com. That makes it much harder for people to even know the license exists, and you can really tightly manage access. But on the other hand, it makes it harder. There's more work involved in adding people to the license. You'd have to do it the way I showed in the previous clip, adding them by email address. And then the most automated option is called auto assign, and we actually use that anytime that people have global licenses. They tend to be auto assigned, and that means that every new sign up for a scale-up account with this email domain will add, every user who signs up will be added automatically to the license. So that has the least amount of admin involved for you, the admin, but it's obviously the most open in terms of access to the license. So that was one item I just wanted to come back and dwell on for a minute. User assignment, the various models available for that, and email domains. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to Scale-Up Suite Help. It's available at sushelp.scaleup.com, and you'll find a whole section for license administrators, and then also sections for users that talk about how to join a license and so on. Those are some of those nice charts for groups and sites that you can get when you do the set group and set site operations I did earlier in this video. Now that concept of email domains that I just spoke about, so for example that this license is visible to everybody from this email domain, that also applies to data services. So when you look at managing users on a data service, you'll see email domains listed against the data service as well, meaning that when the visibility is set to all and open, so all users can see the data service. All users means anybody with a Scale-Up account using these email domains. That's everything I wanted to go through in this quick spin through adminning a license. I hope it's been valuable for you. Any questions at all, send an email to support@scaleup.com. That's scaleup.com with a hyphen. Thanks for your attention.